man's got to do what a man's got to do.
Hardy.
Goodbye, old paint.
Uh-oh, better get Mako.
Mako, state-of-the-art auto painting and body repair. High-tech, low prices keep Mako on top.
If you're saying uh-oh, better get Mako.
This is Kaiden's Fall Sale Catalog. Take a look inside, then come into any one of our Kaiden's locations and lay away what you want most. It's a great time to save. Kaiden's Fall Sale.
A law school scandal, Monday at 4 on Divorce Court.
Tax reform is only a presidential signature away from becoming law.
NBC Nightly News, reported by Connie Chung.
Good evening. The Senate today passed the most significant change in tax laws in a generation. The House had already passed the tax reform package, and now it goes to President Reagan, who immediately after the vote today said the American people finally have a tax code they can be proud of. NBC News Senate correspondent John Dancy has the story.
The victory was a sweet one for Senate Finance Committee Chairman Bob Packwood. He was able to tell Ronald Reagan, with whom he has had public battles in the past, that he had nevertheless passed Mr. Reagan's highest legislative priority, the tax reform bill.
Thank you for everything.
It was not an easy victory because some senators harbored lingering doubts. Over the August recess, many senators had found their constituents cool to the tax bill, worried about losing tax breaks like IRA benefits and interest deductions. Worried constituents meant worried senators, even as the final debate began.
I'm worried that this tax bill will gamble with America's future too much.
Danforth of Missouri opted out early, announcing his flat opposition.
This tax bill is going to reduce our national wealth, that it is going to reduce our gross national product. And some economists believe that it's going to lead to a recession.
And the bill was not to pass without one last bit of controversy. Metzenbaum of Ohio complained the bill had $10 billion worth of tax breaks for special interests. Finance Committee Chairman Packwood retorted angrily that even Metzenbaum had asked for a break for an Ohio company.
I have no recollection of having asked for that. In fact, first...
You want to see the letter that you sent?
It was Packwood's leadership that guided the bill to this moment, and it was he who gave the final speech for tax reform.
But taxes are about more than money, and they are about more than economics. They are about fairness, and this bill is fair.
Whatever lingering doubts there may have been, they didn't keep the Senate from overwhelmingly passing tax reform.
On this vote, the yeas are 74, the nays are 23. The conference report is adopted.
Passage of the tax reform bill took 2 years of hard work, compromise, and good luck. The only thing that remains now is for the president to sign it, and that is certain. John Dancy, NBC News, at the U.S. Capitol.
President Reagan is not happy with what Congress is proposing for next year's budget. The fiscal year begins on October 1st, and the president is threatening to shut down the federal government unless Congress cuts domestic programs and adds more money to defense in the budget. In his weekly radio address, the president said, "If they want me to put together a new budget by candlelight, it's okay with me." Coming up, Ken Bodie on a unique, nonpartisan, free-for-all Senate primary in Louisiana. Lisa Myers on the long-term effects of hunger on children. And Robert Litzite on a football team that prays and plays and answers to a higher authority, Jerry Falwell's Liberty Flames.
They say there is no way to wrap chicken so it won't leak.
Can't be done.
Too complicated.
That's the way it goes.
But Goodyear said,
Clean up your act.
and found a way to print an adhesive in just the right spot on the plastic wrap to seal it properly and easily and leak-proof it completely. See what you can do when you don't give a rap about what they say? Goodyear.
I just got dentures. But with Fixident, I don't get the dentures come loose blues.
Fixident and forget it.
Denture wearers can't eat everything. But with Fixident, I can feast more than just my eyes.
Fixident and forget it. Fix-It helps fix loose spots for a strong hold that lasts longer than any leading cream.
A woman in my position can't worry about hold.
Use Fix-It and forget it.
You're about to discover one reason no other long-distance company can give you what AT&T can. You'll see something that lets us offer you a distinct advantage. What is it that helps keep us at the cutting edge? Betsy Thompson.
I'd be glad to assist you, Mr. Green.
And thousands like her who handle AT&T cards, billing questions, 800 numbers, any service you need.
I'm glad I could help.
For over 100 years, when you reached out, we were there, and you can keep it that way. AT&T, the right choice.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu reacted angrily today to President Reagan's veto last night of a bill that would have imposed tough economic sanctions on South Africa. Tutu said Mr. Reagan will be judged harshly by history after, in his words, the evil system of apartheid is destroyed. The House and Senate could override the president's veto, and President Reagan is campaigning hard to try to keep that from happening. White House correspondent Robin Lloyd reports.
White House officials say President Reagan is convinced he can win in Congress, just like in 1985 when his last-minute announcement of limited sanctions stopped a tougher sanctions bill. In his veto message last night, the president made that strategy clear when he suggested he would be willing to impose less severe sanctions. But despite the hint of conciliation, the reaction among South African blacks was negative.
I think it must just be put on record that once again he has shown himself to be the friend and supporter of the apartheid regime in this country.
Still, White House officials say the president is now signaling he's willing to accept some of the sanctions listed in the bill, including a ban on some South African exports such as steel and iron, and a partial ban on all new investments. But critics of the administration say the president is not going far enough.
The president needs a moral and diplomatic wake-up call. He's trying to change the issue.
I think the override will be overwhelming, and I believe that that is the real expression of the American people.
Even some of the president's closest allies in the Senate say a compromise won't work.
Now, for the president to start offering a whole list of sanctions, just wheeling away, trying to forestall this veto situation, that I think demeans the whole process.
White House officials say they can now count on 26 votes in the Senate, but still need 8 more to sustain the president's veto. Majority Leader Robert Dole is trying to rally support.
The president's veto message and my discussions with him make clear that he is not only willing, but anxious to join with the Congress in sending a strong message.
But aides admit the president is facing one of the toughest showdowns he's had with Congress so far. The biggest problem, said one congressional supporter of the administration, is that the president no longer has any credibility on this issue. Robin Lloyd, NBC News at the White House.
Rival Christian militia factions shot it out in East Beirut today. At least 35 people were killed and 120 wounded. The Lebanese army stepped in to help stop the bloodshed after 10 hours of fierce fighting. Relations between the Roman Catholic Church and the government continue to worsen in Nicaragua. And today, that nation's cardinal and president sat down to see if they could settle some differences. NBC News correspondent Jim Kazurski reports from Managua.
President Daniel Ortega, Cardinal Miguel Obando, besieged by the international press as the two met as visible representatives today of the long-standing rivalry here between church and state. The majority of Nicaragua's 3 million people are Catholic and look to Cardinal Miguel Obando as their leader. He is also the Sandinista government's most powerful opponent. To support current Sandinista policy, religious leaders say would threaten the survival of the traditional church. We would cease to be a church at that moment, Father Ariel Reyes says. We would be like the popular church, which is married to the Marxist ideology. Father Miguel Descoto, foreign minister of the Sandinista government, is chief spokesman for the so-called popular church, a small but influential group of Catholics comfortable with a modified form of Marxism. Father Descoto has called the cardinal a traitor. The cardinal has said Father Descoto and his government are linked with the devil. The church is gagged and bound, Cardinal Obando complains. It was only recently church officials were permitted to re-enter their printing offices confiscated last year by the government. The printing press was not returned. Catholic broadcasts over radio and television have been prohibited. The Sandinista government considers the traditional church unpatriotic for refusing to condemn the U.S.-backed Contra rebels. This summer, the government exiled 2 bishops it said were helping the rebel cause.
Sandinista moves against the church brought direct criticism from the Pope. U.S. and European bishops also sent letters of protest. The government had lost ground in efforts to win favorable world public opinion.
President Ortega said talks aimed at normalizing relations with the church will begin on Tuesday. Cardinal Obando called the session cordial, but suggested government resolve remains to be seen. Jim Kazurski, NBC News, Managua.
A caravan of 600 buses is carrying more than 27,000 people on a race against time. They reportedly are Iranians or Arabs en route to West Berlin to ask for asylum. But new regulations that begin in East Berlin Wednesday would prevent them from passing through, and they are still 900 miles away.
Nobody but General Motors offers so many deals on so many 1986 cars for so many people. The big one. Choose 2.9 annual percentage rate GMAC financing on all new 1986 GM cars and most light-duty trucks. And slash your monthly payments. Or choose rebates up to $1,500 depending on make or model selected. The big one. Only from General Motors.
Announcing the end of the noisy dishwasher, the Whirlpool Quiet Wash system is so quiet, you might think it only babies your dirty dishes. Caresses your silverware. But this Power Clean Energy Saver model gets your dishes remarkably clean.
Hi, Mom! I'm home!
If only Whirlpool could make the rest of your world this quiet.
Whirlpool makes it easier for you. Whirlpool.
Taking your business on the road can be a cumbersome task, and productivity can easily fall off. Presenting the IBM PC Convertible, a powerful personal computer that easily converts to a full-function portable. One you can use in a train, a plane, a car, or a meeting, and be as productive on the road as you are at the office. The IBM PC Convertible, one computer for people who really need two.
Louisiana is holding a Senate primary today, a unique nonpartisan free-for-all with 14 candidates. But if one of those candidates wins more than 50%, there will be no election in November. He will be the senator. It could happen, which is why leaders of both parties are nervously watching Louisiana today. National political correspondent Ken Bodie has a report.
These voters could be sending a signal all across the country. There are 14 candidates on the ballot, but only the Republican Henson Moore is given a chance to win outright today. If Moore does win, he will take over a seat held by Democrats for 36 years. Moore has had 2 campaign visits from President Reagan. Reagan is very popular in Louisiana, even though the oil and gas economy here is very depressed.
But you know, Henson's election will have reverberations way beyond the borders of Louisiana. His election would mean the difference between keeping control of the Senate or losing it.
Reagan's visit was calculated to give Moore enough of a boost to put him over the top today. Waiting in the wings and watching all the hoopla was John Breaux, Moore's main Democratic opponent. Breaux blames Louisiana's economic depression on Reagan economic policies.
Henson Moore spoke about good economic times in other states. Well, this is Louisiana, and we have the highest unemployment in the nation, much of it due to Republican energy policies.
Henson Moore blames Louisiana's recession on the Democrats who govern the state.
Our state has not diversified. We've not prepared for this day. We've not tried to be competitive. We haven't put our best foot forward to compete and bring new jobs in, and that's where they're rightfully placing the blame, rather than on this president, for whom 61% of them voted.
Joe Walker, a New Orleans pollster.
Louisiana voters are pretty much at a loss as to who to blame. They just know that they're hurting very badly economically right now, and somebody other than themselves has caused it.
Both candidates are calling for an oil import fee to bail out Louisiana. That would be both a tax increase and inflationary. But down here, President Reagan said he would consider it. And it made the front pages. Look at this headline.
I think he did what I asked him to do.
If Moore goes over the top today, Reagan will get a lot of the credit.
But by golly, we certainly think we got an outside chance at it, and him coming here certainly helps that outside chance.
The Republicans clearly believe we have to do it this time or we're going to have problems the next time.
To help avoid a runoff in November, where there would be only one Democrat against Henson Moore, Vice President Bush made his second campaign trip to Louisiana this week.
Send a signal with this early vote. You're going to be on the radar screen all across this country, all of you.
If Moore makes it today, he will be the first Republican elected to the Senate from Louisiana in over a century. And it will shift the odds in favor of the Senate remaining Republican in November. Ken Bodie, NBC News, New Orleans.
Finance ministers from the 7 leading industrialized countries wrapped up 2 days of meetings in Washington today. They discussed trade and inflation but reached no major agreements. But they predicted more jobs and low inflation in the coming year.
That'll do it. Who wants grapefruit juice?
I'll pass.
It's good for you. It's great for dieting.
I know, but...
Lots of vitamin C?
Yeah, but...
But the taste? Yeah, try this. Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. It's tangy, smoother, sweeter.
This is grapefruit juice?
Uh-huh.
It's not bitter.
It's Ocean Spray Pink Grapefruit Juice Cocktail. And it's not just good for you, it's good. Ocean Spray good.
How about Total this morning?
Nope, today's my Special K day.
To stack up to the vitamin nutrition in one bowl of Total, you'd have to eat almost 3 bowls of Special K.
Oh, well, in that case, it's my Grape Nuts day.
Takes 4 bowls of that.
My Shredded Wheat day.
12 bowls.
I think I'll quit here.
Whole Wheat Total has 100% of 9 vitamins and iron. A stack of nutrition in just 1 bowl.
Like I said, it's my Total day.
Today's most popular software programs come to life in the Tandy 1000 computer. A computer with 50% faster clock speed than the IBM PC. Tandy engineered desk-made software, executed through the microprocessor command center, makes the Tandy 1000 incredibly easy to use. See the Tandy 1000 family of value-priced personal computers only at Radio Shack.
The United States is the only industrialized nation in which children make up the largest segment of the poverty population. 1 in every 4 children under age 6 lives below the poverty line. The result, more need for nutritious food, while the government is cutting back on assistance. Lisa Myers reports.
Jeffrey Lively was born into poverty. Like the parents of nearly 13 million other children, the Liveleys don't earn enough to buy the basic necessities of life. Jeffrey's mother didn't get enough food during her pregnancy.
I certainly went without food. I did. If all you have is flour and cornmeal and maybe a little bit of honey, you know, you generally go without.
And there was one period of 2 weeks that I remember quite well where we went with almost nothing. I was concerned for Alice and the baby because she needed to have nutrition.
The baby almost didn't make it. He was 2 months premature and weighed 4 pounds.
I think her poor nutrition was a significant contributing factor in the outcome of her pregnancy and her premature labor.
After 3 weeks in intensive care, Jeffrey was allowed to go home on a heart monitor. But medical experts say the effects of malnutrition will persist for years.
He's going to be very susceptible to illness. We're not out of the woods with this baby by a long shot.
There are no official figures on just how many babies and young children suffer from hunger and malnutrition. But there is ample evidence that thousands of children don't get enough to eat. A study in Chicago's Cook County Hospital found that 15% of children coming to the emergency room suffered from inadequate nutrition. A survey last winter of 25 major cities found a 30% increase in the number of families with children seeking emergency food assistance. The Physician Task Force on Hunger in America estimated that malnutrition now affects almost 500,000 children. For many young children in particular, malnutrition means more than going to bed hungry. It can mean serious physical and learning problems from which some never fully recover. Amber Blay is shorter than 95% of children her age and underweight. A state study found she was getting less than half the calories a growing child needs.
there is a problem of stunted growth among poor children that our people believe is directly related to poor nutrition, malnutrition.
A 1983 study in neighboring Massachusetts found that 1 in 5 poor children was abnormally underweight, anemic, or suffered from stunted growth. Dr. William Bithany was co-author of that study.
When they get really badly undernourished, their head circumference also suffers. So when we measure the size of their head, it's smaller. And that reflects a true decrement in brain growth.
Which is one reason some poor children are slow to develop and have learning problems.
What's his name? Freddie Freddie Thunderhead.
Amber has difficulty speaking, although it's too early to tell if that will persist. Amber's younger sister Elaine was late walking. A doctor said she, too, was undernourished and hadn't developed enough muscle. Elaine and Amber's parents know their children need more and better food, but they say that half the time it's a struggle just to put something in the children's stomachs.
Macaroni isn't good for them all the time, and a lot of this other stuff isn't good for them. But it's the cheapest stuff we can buy. They want apples sometimes, and I can't afford it. They love bananas.
We can't come up with the vegetables like that every day to give her. I think that's one reason why meat and she ain't growing.
And this malnutrition occurred despite the fact that the Blaze, as well as the Lively family, take full advantage of food stamps and other federal food programs. And in both families, at least one of the parents works.
These are people doing just what we say we want people to do. They're not on public assistance, they're working full-time year-round, and they're still poor, and they don't have enough to eat.
Greenstein, a former director of federal food programs, says it's happening because higher expenses for housing and utilities and cuts in food programs are leaving people with less money to buy food. The Reagan administration says the government is providing plenty of help, that families merely aren't spending their money wisely.
The basic level of food assistance provided through the various programs is sufficient to meet the nutrition assistance needs of low-income Americans.
I work 40 hours a week, and things can't meet up together. If I could do more, I would. I can't. If I try to make a little bit more so I can get ahead of myself, I lose my food stamps, so I go behind.
Show his bald head? Yeah.
But even if their families do come up with the money to provide an adequate diet, that won't be enough. Once a child is undernourished, he needs 50% more calories than normal to catch up. Lisa Myers, NBC News, Lisbon Falls, Maine.
Aren't you going to say anything about this Pontiac 6000?
Oh, you mean about how well it handles, how quick it is, how it's one fine road car?
Well, yeah.
Come on, if I said all that, we'd sound like a car commercial.
We feel excited.
No. Singers will do that.
Pontiac! U.S. Sprint, may I help you?
People are finding out how much they can save
10%
by signing up with U.S. Sprint during the biggest sale in long-distance history. It's like getting 2 months of long-distance free.
Yes, that's right.
2 months free. But the trick is, you gotta sign up now, because on October 31st, it's over. Call U.S. Sprint now. Find out about it.
U.S. Sprint, may I help you?
This Sunday, the Secretary of Defense takes aim at issues like arms control, the war on drugs, and money for the military. When Caspar Weinberger meets the press, Sunday.
Oh, the dilemma of choosing the right pregame show. She demands predictions, he the latest scoop. We in NBC Sports suggest you put as much thought into selecting a pregame show as you did when choosing your friends. Possibly more. NFL 86, the one you'll choose.
When you need it most, you can get extra strength relief from acid indigestion with extra strength Riopan Plus. In lab tests, it neutralizes twice the acid as regular Maalox or Mylanta. It's that strong. You can also get extra strength relief from heartburn with extra strength Riopan Plus. Ounce for ounce, it neutralizes twice the acid as regular Maalox or Mylanta. It's that strong. Extra strength Riopan Plus. Regular strength, too.
Why rent an ordinary everyday car when National Car Rental will rent you this Pontiac Firebird for just $32.95 a day weekdays, $24.95 a day weekends? Rent some excitement. Call 800 Car Rent.
The Reverend Jerry Falwell says the Liberty Flames have something extra going for them. God wants them to win, or at least Falwell says God does, and that seems to be enough motivation for the football team at Liberty University. NBC News sports correspondent Robert Litzite reports tonight on a team that is blessed with divine interference.
I think God wants you to be a winner in life, and that certainly spills over into athletics, and if kicking butts is part of it, that's part of it.
There's nothing new in the mixture of sports, politics, and religion. But Jerry Falwell is giving it a new twist. On the broad backs of football players, he is trying to create a major university that will offer born-again Christians pride and national recognition, and that will extend his own ministries through an image of toughness and of winning.
My respect for Catholicism and Mormonism goes straight up when watching Notre Dame and Brigham Young play ball, any sport. I think that evangelical Christians deserve that same opportunity.
Go! 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 The 7,000 students at Liberty University can be expelled for smoking, drinking, breaking curfew, having sex, or listening to rock and roll.
It's like all the schools were 30 or 40 years ago.
Lord, may we be truly rowdy, and can we show everyone here that Christian is all right. Football coach at Liberty University. Let's welcome Morgan High.
I feel like that if you're Christian, you got to hit them harder than anybody else.
The pregame Boosters barbecue looks like a church supper. There is a locker room prayer. But once the game begins, it's blessed are the quick.
We're not meek, you know, we're out there to punish the other team just like they're there to punish us.
Jesus was no sissy. He was tough, and he was no sissy. He was a he-man. If he were playing football, you'd be slow getting up after he tackled you.
Falwell prays that his message of muscular Christianity someday will be delivered to the nation in a game against Notre Dame.
Yeah, it'd be a football game, a great one, but I also feel like it would be saying the Christians are here, you know. We're here and we're not meek and we're just not going to fall down in front of you. We're here and we're going to stay.
If ever you adopt the philosophy that winning is not important, it's how you play the game, you cop out.
We're going to win it like I told you we're going to win it. Let's win it with class. When we go over, shake their hand, tell them God loves them. Tell them the Lord loves them.
This is America, and if you're not a winner, it's your own fault.
Robert Lipsyte, NBC News, Lynchburg, Virginia.
We should be 2-1 right now.
Divine intervention was not enough for Liberty University today. The Flames lost. Final score, Wofford College 17, Liberty 6. And that's our news. Tomorrow on Meet the Press, Marvin Kalb interviews Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger. I'm Connie Chung in New York. I'll see you again, along with Roger Mudd, on the season premiere of 1986. That's Tuesday night at 10 o'clock, 9 Central. Don't miss it. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night.
Tonight on Facts of Life.
He asked me to marry him. He did?
The one-hour season premiere. Then it's the hilarious season premiere of The Golden Girls and Blanche's shocking news.
I'm pregnant.
The Golden Girls. And then it's the premiere of Amen.
People like me.
Sherman Hemsley's the church deacon who is a little demon.
Come home tonight.